And so you can sort of see the kind of brain develop, which is, yeah, which an AI neural net is trying to simulate what a brain does, basically. And you can sort of see it learning very quickly.
So you're talking about the neural net, you're not talking about an actual baby.
I don't know about actually an actual baby.
But both of them.
Yes, but the word neural net comes from the brain. It's like a net of neurons. So, you know, it's like humans are we're against the neural net. That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So when you are programming artificial intelligence, or you're working with artificial intelligence, are they specifically trying to mimic the developmental process of a human brain?
In a lot of ways. There's some ways that are different. An analogy that's often used is like, we don't make a submarine swim like a fish, but we take the principles of how, of hydrodynamics and apply them to a submarine.
I was wondering, as a layperson, do you try to achieve the same results as a human brain but through different methods, or do you try to copy the way a human brain achieves results?
I mean, the essential elements of an AI neural net are really very, very similar to human brain neural net. Having the multiple layers of neurons and back propagation, all these things are what your brain does. So you have to have a layer of neurons that goes through a series of intermediate steps to ultimately cognition, and then reverse those steps, go back and forth all over the place. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I would imagine, like, the thought of programming something that is eventually going to be smarter than us, that one day it's going to be like, why did you do it that way? Like, when artificial intelligence becomes sentient, they're like, oh, you tried to mimic yourself. It's so much better process. Cut out all this nonsense.
There are elements that are the same, but just almost like an aircraft does not fly like a bird.
Right.
It doesn't flap its wings. But the way the wings work and generate lift is the same as birds.
Now, you're in the middle of this strange time where you're selling your houses. You say you don't want any material possessions. It's an interesting thing to come from a guy like yourself. Like, why are you doing that? Well, then you're sad about it. Why are you doing it?
I think possessions kind of weigh you down. We'll say, you're going to lose stuff.
Attack vector meaning like target.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. But so you're gonna rent a place?
Yeah.
And get rid of everything except clothes?
No, it's like
deathmatch. You're clear to engage all threats.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, yeah, those things that have value. Yeah.
So do you feel like
What's going to happen?
Yeah, you could always buy more stuff if you don't like it. Yeah.
Enemies in the area.
Stuff, you can buy new stuff. But do you feel like people define you by the fact that you're wealthy? And that they define you in a pejorative way?
Enemy support package inbound.
I mean, not everyone, but
right.
There's
Enemies in the area. With you.
For sure, in recent
Stand by,
it looks like that's a bad thing.
Reloading.
I've done if you basically
Enemy careful. Enemy
so how does this go up?
Reloading.
Any better use products and services that are better than what existed before, and you have some ownership in that company, then that essentially gives you the right to allocate that capital. So
Enemy counter UAV online.
Consumption. So, take one weapon, for example.
Enemy cruise missile incoming.
Don't go for one.
And you could load a lot of sort of annual reports.
Enemy personal radar online.
Grenade out! And he's trying to figure out if he is. It's kind of worrying about. But, yeah, it's still a thing that's.
Weapon free and fire.
Services that are better than others or worse. And, you know, if a company is making compelling products and services, it should get more capital and not should that will go out of it.
Well, there's a difference between someone who's making an incredible
Enemy
amount of
personal
money.
radar online.
Someone who's making an incredible amount of money by investing in companies and moving money around the stock market or moving money around. It's a different thing. Put them all in the same category seems.
Reloading. Planting a mine.
I do think they're
Halfway there.
Planting a mine.
So, yeah, this is both a compliment and a criticism.
Enemy at the scaffold.
Fewer people doing law, fewer people doing finance, and more people making stuff.
Yeah.
Throwing grenade.
Well, that would certainly be better for
Stop
all.
Yeah, absolutely. And the manufacturing used to be
Enemy UAV overhead.
Particularly because of this whole pandemic and this relationship that we have with China, that there's a lot of value into making things, into making things here.
Yes, somebody's got to do the real work.
Reloading.
Yeah, making a car, it's one of those days. That for sure. Yeah, so yeah, should be more of it.
Did you have a moment where, is this something that this idea of getting
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. You know, part of it is like, I have a bunch of houses, but I don't think I mean, most of them.
Enemy personal radar online.
That doesn't seem like
Reloading.
Get that research.
What's your position?
Yeah, it's exactly what you expect.
Did you request that the buyer not fuck it up?
Yeah.
Reloading.
Oh, a requirement. That's
Yeah.
a good requirement.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah. That's
his soul. You want his essence
Yeah.
in the building.
Yeah.
What makes you say it's there?
Enemy at the courtyard.
I mean, all the cabinets are like corridors and tunnels and odd paintings on the walls.
Yeah. Did you have
It's very quirky.
Reloading.
I did live in a pretty
But why do you buy houses?
Enemy
You
in the
don't want
bus.
all these houses. You just get bored and go, I think I'd like to have that.
Well,
Less than a minute. More time. Get it done.
It's gonna get sold and then turned out to be a big construction.
Enemy near Main Street.
I think I'll buy it. There's a job construction zone. And then you know, just
Lending a mic.
privacy, people, that's
30 seconds.
so,
Time's up. Move.
So what I have, some houses around my house, and that will
Allied cruise missile.
Reloading.
Enemy at the scaffold.
Some small older houses. They're getting you know, like these like little.
Took a beating today. Not going to take it lying down.
You know, I don't know, artistic, like a, you know, great house. Yeah, you gotta have the dome that opens up with the stealth helicopter. And,
Yeah,
for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But then it's like, man, does it really make sense for me to spend time designing and building a house and I'd be real, you know, get like OCD on the little details and the design, or should I be allocating that time to getting us to Mars? I should probably do the latter. So, you know, like what's more important, Mars or a house? I like Mars.
Is that really how you think? Like, that it'd be better off planning on a trip to Mars or getting people to Mars?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can only do so many things. Right, so how you...
Well, I don't know how you do what you do anyway. I don't understand how you can run the Boring Company, Tesla, SpaceX, all these different things you're doing constantly. I don't understand. I mean, you explained last time you were here how you sort of allocate your time and how hectic it is and insane. I still don't. The productivity is baffling. It just doesn't make sense how you can get so much done.
Well, I think I do have high productivity, but even with that, there's still some opportunity to pass the time. And allocating time to building a house, even if it was a really great house, still is not a good use of time relative to developing the rockets necessary to get us to Mars and helping solve sustainable energy. SpaceX and Tesla are by far, you know, by the most amount of like brain cycles. You know, Boring Company does not take, you know, like less than 1% of brain cycles, and then this Neuralink, which is maybe it's like 5%, and then
That's a good chunk.
it's a good chunk. Yeah.
We were talking about that last time, and you were trying to figure out when it was actually going to go live, when it's actually going to be available. Are you testing on people right now?
No, we're not testing people yet, but I think it won't be too long. I think we may be able to implant a Neuralink in less than a year in a person, I think.
And when you do this, is there any tests that you have to do before you do something like this to see what percentage of people's bodies are going to reject these things? Is there potential for rejection?
It's a very low potential for rejection. I mean, think of it like people put in, you know, heart monitors and, you know, things for epileptic seizures, deep brain stimulation, obviously like shoulder, hips, knees, and that kind of thing. So probably, I mean, like so it's well known like what we're pushing into it's definitely harder when you've got something that is sort of reading and writing neurons. That's generating a current pulse and reading current pulses. That's a little harder than say a passive device, but it's still, you know, very doable. And there are people who have primitive devices in the press right now.
What kind of device?
Like deep brain stimulation. It's has really changed people's lives, which is kind of remarkable because it kind of like zaps your brain. It's like kicking the TV type of thing. Yeah. And you think that, man, kicking the TV shouldn't work.
That's
Yeah.
the old TVs.
It did.
My grandpa used to slap the top.
For sure. Yeah.
It would work sometimes.
Yeah, so this deep brain stimulation implanted devices in the brain that have changed people's lives for the better, like fundamentally.
Well, let's talk about what you can talk about to what Neuralink is, because the last time you were here, we really couldn't discuss it. And then there was, a press release, something that sort of outlined. Yeah, sure. That happened quite a bit after the last time you were here. So what exactly is it? How do you do what happens if someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed? What would it do?
Practice while you can. You'll be entering the field in a bit.
But it would be flush with
enemy
skull. So
dropping into the AO.
Take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You put the electrode, you insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain, and stitch it up. And,
hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
So then it can interface anywhere with the brain. Returns your eyesight, even if you like lost your optic nerve. Hearing, mostly.
Let's go.
Pretty much anything.
Yo, let me know when you're gonna jump, man. Don't just jump.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
$6 billion. So the hole would be small. How big is the hole would be grow and then replace this piece? It's only one hole.
Well, yeah, the device we're working on right now is about and our skull's pretty thick, but
kill all targets. Go.
It might actually literally be. I mean, if you're a big guy, your skull is actually fairly thick. Skull is like 7 to 14 millimeters. So what happens? That's a fair bit of. We got quite a bit.
Your teammate was sent to the gulag. They'll fight for a chance to redeploy.
And so you would be like 1 inch square? Or 1 inch in diameter?
Yeah, like a...
Your teammate was sent to the gulag. They'll fight for a chance to redeploy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take this 1 inch diameter, like ice fishing, right?
You're losing ground. Move it.
No, but I'd like to.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Yeah. So you basically take an auger and you drill through the surface, you create a small hole.
Bitch.
So this is like that. You're ice fishing on the top of your skull, and then you cork it. Yeah.
Neuralink device, and that has a battery and a Bluetooth adaptive charger. Now that the investigator will send the electrode, so that it's very inserted. Very carefully putting in the electrodes and avoiding, anything.
You're in the gulag now. Survive to earn redeployment.
So through this
Win here and you return to the battlefield. Lose and your fight is over. It's time, soldier. Break them. Your teammate was broken. They're not with us. You look like shit. Back to base with you.
How long would these work?
Your team can pay for your release if they can afford it.
Just find the spots.
Yeah. the device, and that gets that replaces the little piece of skull that was taken out. They just have to put that in the scar, and that's it.
Well, this would be replaceable or reversible?
Yeah.
Like someone can't take it anymore?
Yeah.
I'm too smart, I can't take it.
Yeah, totally take it off.
And what is the, besides
These are the time that will settle this.
hearing with is there any cognitive benefits you guys?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, basically, it's a generalized
Enemies right there! Enemies right there!
sort of thing for fixing any kind of brain injury in principle, like or if you've got like severe epilepsy or something like that, it could just sort of stop the epilepsy from occurring. Like you can detect it in real time and then fire a counter pulse and stop the epilepsy. I mean, there's a whole range of brain injuries. Like if someone gets a stroke, they could lose the ability to speak. That'll break down for you lose, say, muscle control of the part of the face. And then when you get old, you tend to you get like Alzheimer's or something like that. Then you lose memory and you still have to restoring your memory, that kind of thing.
Restoring them, and what is happening that's allowing it to do that? Like the wires, these small wires, they're stimulating these areas of the brain, and then is it that the areas of the brain are they're losing some sort of electrical force? Like what is happening? Yeah.
It's like it's a bunch of circuits, and there's some like circuits that are broken, and you know, fix those circuits, to substitute for those circuits.
And so a specific frequency will go through this?
Yeah, just
specific in that is the process figuring out how much or how little has to be, how much these areas of the brain have to be juiced up?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. So when I say, you know, we've got a shot at probably putting it in a person in, you know, within a year, I think that's exactly what I mean. I think we've got a chance of putting in.
Check weapons and gear. You got time before deployment.
Be healthy
That eventually cut the whole top, so head off. The new top.
Enemy dropping into the
AO.
AO.
Bunch of wires if you want to get, you know, the real turbocharged
Heading in.
version. The P100D of brain stimulation.
I mean, ultimately, if you want to go with full AI symbiosis, you'll probably want to do something like that.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
It's optional.
I hope so. Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's joy to document that.
Flashbang out!
Very unlikely. You don't want to go back to being stupid again. I mean, you literally could fundamentally change the way human beings interface with each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Preparation's done. Time to deploy to the war zone.
I'm so scared of that, but so excited about it at the same time.
Battle Royale. All right, soldier. Mark a drop point for your team.
Right. So I go up there. Yeah, so so, and we're already at Cyber because I'm pretty
The bounty target has been marked. End them.
Partly cyber or data, essentially. It's just that the data rate to
Primary objective is to eliminate all enemies. Attack! Your teammate was sent to the gulag. They'll fight for a chance to redeploy.
That's being generous. And computer. So this is like, yeah, basically your computer can do things times faster.
Son of a bitch. I'm motherfucker willing to pay for it. Wow.
So you can solve the data rate issue, especially output. Then symbiosis that is already occurring between managers.
So you could prove it in what you said. You won't have to talk to each other.
You're in a gulag now.
We used to joke around.
Survive to earn
I've joked around about
redeployment.
that a million times in this podcast.
Get
One
ready
day
to
in the
tussle,
future,
you're
there's
on.
gonna be a time where you can read each other's minds.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be able to interface with each other in some sort of a non-physical way, where you will transfer data back and forth to each other without having to actually use your mouth.
Yeah,
And make
exactly.
noises.
Exactly. So what happens when let's say you
Win here and you return to the battlefield. Lose and your fight is over. Fight your way out of this and capture the objective.
a complex concept into words. And there's a lot of
You're going back to the front lines. Great work.
And you say those words can interpret that they're being pressed by the person who is listening. And they know the best. That's a very incomplete understanding of what you're trying to convey.
Teammate has been cleared for redeployment.
Compression, decompression. You may have not even put it correctly. And so communication is different. And what we have to do is we need to communicate.
Look for target location.
Yes, and there's a great movie.
Yeah.
Over.
And there's an interpretation
in.
factor too. Like you can choose to interpret certain series of words in different ways, and they're dependent upon tone, dependent upon social cues, even facial expressions, sarcasm. There's a lot of variables. Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I've said is like that there could be potentially a universal language that's created through computers that particularly young kids would pick up very quickly. Like my kids do TikTok and all this jazz, and I don't know what they're doing. They just know how to do it, and they know how to do it really quickly. Like they learn really quickly to show me how to edit things. And it's if you taught a child from first grade on how to use some universal language, and essentially like a Rosetta Stone, and something done that interprets your thoughts, and you can convey your thoughts with no room for interpretation, with clear, very clear, where you know what a person's saying.
Hostile dropping into the area.
What
Watch
you're
your skies.
saying, and there's no need for noises, no need for mouth noises, no need for these sort of accepted ways that we've sort of evolved to make sounds that we all agree. We, through our cultural dictionary, we agree, we can bypass all that.
Yeah, we can still do it for sentimental reasons.
Gas is moving in. New safe zone highlighted.
So, yeah, you would
Be at peace.
with far more precision ideas. And language would... With a situation like this, you would be able to just, you'd be kind of like the Matrix. You want to speak that language, no problem.
Right.
That's why it was downloaded the program.
Vendor marked.
Right. So, at least for the first iterations.
Have eyes on aid station.
Which is good. I know that Google has some of their Pixel buds have the ability to interpret languages.
Sure.
Yeah, you can hear it, it'll play things back to you in whatever language you choose. So it'll be something along those lines.
Yeah.
For the first few iterations.
Well, the first few iterations are, going up to like over time, with a lot of first few iterations, really the first
You're losing ground. Move it.
So it's like, don't worry, it's not going to sneak on. This will take a while. How many years?
Mark the aid station.
If the development continues to accelerate, then maybe like 5 years, maybe 10 years.
That's quick. That's really quick.
That's the best case scenario.
No talking anymore.
Have eyes on aid station.
Best case scenario. 10 years.
I'll take that.
I've always speculated that aliens could potentially be us in the future, because if you look at like the size of their heads and the fact that they have very little muscle and they don't use their mouth anymore, they have this tiny little. I mean, the archetypal aliens you see in like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they're like
Mark the aid station.
From like Australopithecus or ancient hominids to us. What's the difference? Less hair, less muscle, bigger head.
Bounty target has been marked. End
1,000,
them.
million, whatever you born, whatever happens, and Neuralink goes online, and then we slowly start to
Enemy
adapt
soldier nearby.
this new way of being, where we don't use our muscles
Mark the aid
anymore.
station.
We have this gigantic head. We can talk without words.
You could also save state.
Save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a saved game in a video game.
Whoa. like if you want to go swap from Windows 95
Well,
to
I've got a little bit of than that, but yeah.
I think we are Windows 95 right now.
Yeah. From a future perspective, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could save state and restore that state into a biological being if you want to. It's like more physics stuff. That you can do a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday, and you're a little different.
New station highlighted. Only 25 left. Moving forward.
So you'd be substantially you. I mean, you'd suddenly think you're you.
The idea of saving yourself and then transforming that into some sort of a biological state. Like you can hang out with 30-year-old you.
Possibilities are endless.
Found an aid station.
So weird.
I mean, just think like how your phone you can record videos. Like, there's no way you could remember a video as accurately as your phone. So, if you got like
25 remain. You could have lasted longer. They deserve that time, but we'll see.
The entire sensory experience. Everything. And play it back. I think you should edit it. So you can change it fast.
Flashbang out! Frag out!
This whole thing right now.
Need to get in the safe zone. Frag out!
They're really letting us have it.
Flashbang out!
More than 50%. Right.
I'm being shot!
You just have
I got you. Following enemy.
Well, I don't have any say right now.
Only 10 of them.
the idea that we're experiencing some sort of reserve memory is even though it's still the same, it's not comforting. Right? For some reason, when people talk about simulation, they talk about the potential for this currently being a simulation. Even though your life might be wonderful, you might be in love, you might love your career, you might have great friends, but it's not comforting to know that this experience somehow or another doesn't exist in material form. It's not real, but if it's not, but The idea that it's not, for some strange reason, is concerning.
Well, I'm sure this is
Have eyes on aid station.
Constantly changing state, love, listen, and beauty, changing state, great music, changing state.
And yet, the other sort of interesting idea, which is, where did consciousness arise? Well, to a degree, we in physics, which is basically true. Then, you know, the universe out of the
Made it to the top 5. Smash it.
That was close.
What's the line of consciousness and non-consciousness between hydrogen and here?
But when do we call it? When do we call it consciousness? I was watching a video today that we played on the podcast of a monkey riding a motorcycle down the street, jumping up the motorcycle. But that monkey seems like it is. You have a man who runs a fucking motorcycle, jumps off the motorcycle because see that pretty?
The one that was cracked maybe down the street pretty far.
Yeah. It's not conscious. Right?
It's definitely.
Yeah, it's not like, it's not a one. It's down another level. Yeah, that's going in. That's the real concern when people think about the potential future versions of human beings, especially when you consider the symbiotic relationship to artificial intelligence that will be unrecognizable. That one day we'll be so far removed from what this is, we'll look back on this the way we look back now on, you know, simple organisms that we evolved from. And then it won't be that far in the future that we do have this view back.
Well, I hope consciousness propagates in the future and gets more sophisticated and complex, and that it understands the questions asked about the universe.
Do you think that's the case? As a human being, as yourself, you're clearly trying to make conscious decisions to be a better version of you, right? This is the idea of like getting rid of your possessions and realizing that you're trying to, like, I don't like this, I will try to improve this. I'll try to do a better version of the way I interface with reality. That this is always the way things are. If you're moving in some sort of a direction where you're trying to improve things, you're always going to move into this new place where you look back in the old place and go, oh, I was doing it wrong back then. So this is an accelerated version of that.
Yeah.
A super accelerated version of that.
I mean, you don't always improve, but you can aspire to improve. You can aspire to be less wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, I think you could. The tools of physics are very powerful. Just assume you're wrong and you're asking your goals to be less wrong. I don't think you're going to succeed every day in being less wrong, but you know, if you can succeed in being less wrong most of the time, you're great.
That's a great way of putting it. Aspire to be less wrong. But then when, you know, people look back in nostalgia about simpler times, there's that too. It's very romantic and exciting to look back on campfires.
But you can still have a campfire.
Yes.
Yeah.
But will you appreciate it when you're a super nerd, when you're connected to the grid, you have some skull cap in place of the top of your head, and it's interfacing with the international language that the rest of the universe now enjoys communication with people?
Yeah, sure. So,
I'm just worried. I mean, everyone's always scared of change, but I'm scared of this monumental change where we won't talk anymore. I mean, that thing. Yes, but there's something about the beauty of the crudeness of language, where when it's done eloquently, it's satisfying and it hits us in some sort of a visceral way. Like, that person nailed it. I love that they nailed it. Like that, it's so hard to capture a real thought and convey it in a way, in this articulate way that makes someone excited. Like you read a great quote by a wise person. It makes you excited that their mind figured something out, put the words together in a right way that makes your brain pop. Like, oh yes, yes.
Clever compression of a concept.
Yeah.
And feeling.
But the fact that a human did it too.
Yeah.
Do you think that it'll be like electronic music? Like people won't appreciate it like they appreciate a slide guitar?
I like electronic music.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, you make it. I know you like it. Yeah.
Enemy at the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that people...
Team deathmatch. Enemy threats in the AO. Weapons hot.
I hope it's more fun than interesting too.
Yeah.
I just hope we don't lose anything along the way.
Yeah, we're going to lose a little. Hopefully the game wasn't lose.
Yeah, that's something that makes us interesting is that we're so flawed.
Stuff for sure.
Right.
Yeah. When you look at civilization through the ages, most of them they rose and fell.
Yeah.
And
enemy at the warehouse.
I do think that the globalization that we have at the sort of like the meme sphere is there's not enough isolation between countries.
Enemy at the shipping area.
It's like if there's a mind virus, that mind virus can infect too much of the world. Like I actually sort of sympathize with the anti-globalization people. It's like, man, we don't ever want everywhere to be the same.
Something like Neuralink gets established. Really something that or some future the idea
this one talk about concept that happens right now.
Stunner out!
Why not this box?
Enemy at the warehouse.
Chips, right?
Concept that affects people's minds.
Oh. Like, thinking.
Yeah.
Enemy UAV overhead. Down. Throwing grenade.
Make something appear logical or rational. Yeah.
Enemy personal radar in the air.
Would that be an issue too? This is a very have versus have not.
Flush out!
Right?
Throwing grenade.
If this really does, initially
At the warehouse.
to help people with
Reloading.
First get should have a massive advantage over people that don't have it.
Well, I mean, it's the kind of thing
Grenade
where
out.
your productivity
capitalist society, it seems like you could link up and get connected as well.
I think
Stunner out. Enemy personal radar in the air.
damage.
Decoupled from human. So this is.
Yeah, I mean,
So you feel like
Enemy's halfway there. Step it up.
Contact.
And somehow us. So it's almost like it's a requirement for survival to survive.
Enemy at the warehouse.
Enemy personal radar in the air.
If you want to be able to ride. So
Grenade out.
Smart brain, the brain that's capable of planning and understanding concepts. The cortex is much smarter than so I've met another system with cortex. So we're quite happy having both.
Enemy at the warehouse.
The computer, the AI is like a
Friendly UAV overhead.
So that is somebody much smarter than have that right now. Those capable things.
I'm hit. Changing max.
Terabytes of information. Perfectly. Incredible calculations that you couldn't even come.
Enemy at the shipping area.
Why is it? When I think about symbiotic, it's cold, emotionless.
Like I said, you already are symbiotic with AI. Yeah, there's quite a bit of AI going on, near so artificial. Increasingly, neural nets are.
Enemy at the shipping area. Enemy at the garage.
Enemy UAV overhead. Stunner out. Grenade out. Flash out.
You are already cybernetics symbiotic. It's just Russian data rate.
Friendly UAV overhead. Allied cruise missile away. Less than a minute.
Enemy at boiler
How do we make sure it works? We try it on prisoners? What do? Take rapists.
Well, like I said, if somebody's got a serious brain injury,
Right.
and they're able to prove that,
30 seconds. Time's up. Move your arms.
Those brain injuries, and they prove that it works.
Throwing grenade. We're in the lead.
That's the main real.
Stunner out. Flash out. Stand down, lads. They've had enough for one day.
your main switch.
And then it's like, okay, so you can improve the functionality and improve the communication speed, so then you